Hello and welcome to episode 1 of season 11 of the Womenpreneur Asia podcast, and I'm your host Krista Goon. Today's episode is all about updating you about what's been happening in the past few months. Season 10 ended in October last year, and the past few months I have been recording interviews for this season. That usually happens in the in-between time before a new season starts. Normally, I tell friends that I take a break in between seasons, but technically that's not true either. In between seasons, I am speaking to women who are potential guests. Many are recommended by former guests, and what I normally do is, before I record any interview, I get into a preliminary call to get to know them better. And together, we discuss potential angles when we record. It's a little time consuming, but it makes for a better episode when we have a solid angle to work with. But it's not just recording interviews either when it's technically what I consider an off-season, because I've had the opportunity to speak as a panelist in a regional conference in Phuket last December, on my favorite topic, which is entrepreneurship. And this is entrepreneurship in the age of AI. Now, we know how AI is the hottest topic of all time, but being in a 2-day conference with experts, entrepreneurs, and academics was enlightening and thought-provoking as well, as I learned so much about how other industries are leveraging AI. Personally, I'm a fan of AI. As I shared in the conference, I use AI to create workflows that help me produce my podcast episodes more efficiently. Now, starting season 11 feels different because I've spent a lot of time journaling and looking at the patterns, and of course also looking at the metrics from my podcast. I finally stopped seeing Womenpreneur Asia as just a podcast. After 155 episodes across 10 seasons, I've realized that this is actually a media platform designed to grow the credibility of everyday entrepreneurial women across Asia. Many of my guests are excited when they're invited to my show because for them, it's their first time speaking in a podcast. And for some of them, this debut of theirs on my podcast actually opens doors to other media interviews and media platforms. So I'm really happy for them. So the theme that I'm carrying into this season is collective growth. I've realized that when the podcast grows, everyone grows. My podcast is now reaching listeners in 23 countries, and I'm so excited. And because we're partnering with Asian platforms like InnovNation and Women4Women, and even G-Woman Media in North America, the stories of my guests are traveling further than I could have ever imagined. It's about creating a ripple effect where the visibility creates credibility, and the credibility opens doors for other people. So that's why I'm excited for you to hear this season's episodes as well. My guests are truly Asian in composition, from Hong Kong to India and from Vietnam to Singapore. I know I have had a great interview where my guests and I continue long after the recording is stopped. In fact, I've become good friends with some of my guests, and we end up creating new programs and initiatives, just like what I'm doing with Rowena Morais, who was actually my podcast guest way back in season 2 of Womenpreneur Asia. So you can check out our episode in season 2, but it seems like such a long time ago. But I'm glad that we're working together because even though she's in Australia and I'm in Malaysia, we somehow make the time zone work, and we have been collaborating ever since last year. So Rowena and I now co-run a program called From Vision to Voice, where we help women find clarity and confidence in showing up online. So if this is something that you're interested in, do check out fromvisiontovoice.com. Now, we developed this program because we know how challenging it is to show up online. And to be really honest, I haven't always been this comfortable being the face or even the voice of things. In the early days of my business, I felt like a tech imposter because I wasn't a programmer, nor was I the web designer in my web development business, the business that I partnered with my husband. So what I did was I stayed in the background because I was afraid I wasn't enough. I was afraid that people will find out that I didn't even know how to program a website, or how to create a website or design a website. It took me a long time to realize that my value wasn't in coding or programming, but in being a storyteller to help my clients create stronger positioning and share their stories on their websites. Now, if you want to hear the full version of that journey, you can read the whole story on the Womenpreneurasia.com website. I will link to this story in the show notes, so you can check it out. Now, the reason I'm sharing this backstory of mine is that I want to show you that all of us start from zero. Through consistent actions, small as they may be, we can get to a place where we are confident. So, my wish is I want you to be bolder this year. I want myself to be bolder this year, and that is why I'm creating partnerships and programs with good people. Confidence comes from showing up as yourself, not from a template. Now, besides our From Vision to Voice program, Rowena and I are creating a case study type of webinar, a participatory lab for everyone, in a series we call the Visibility Lab. We're quite excited with our visibility work, but we're not just about visibility for its own sake. I want to show you the opportunities that are possible, and we do this through discussions, learning, and sometimes through undoing. So, speaking of opportunities, I have some exciting news regarding InnovNation, the entrepreneurship platform that I'm partnering with. Now, Womenpreneur Asia episodes are now featured on the platform, and I have been grateful and I'm honored to be given a space on the InnovNation platform to grow my community. And for the longest time, I held back from creating any type of community because I wasn't ready back then. I wasn't ready 3 years ago. But now that this opportunity has come up from me, and again, opportunity, visibility, credibility, they all come together in one package. And now that I've had this opportunity, I would like to be bolder and give it a go. So if you'd like to be part of this Womenpreneur Asia community on the InnovNation platform, just go to the link in the show notes. Sign up for an account and join our Womenpreneur Asia community. I can't wait to see you there. Now, I've also been thinking a lot about how no woman succeeds alone. Behind every step forward I've taken, there was someone who shared knowledge, made an introduction, or simply said, "Come in, there's space for you here." Now, I want to pause and ask you, who opened a door for you? Who made room for you when they didn't have to? My challenge for you today is to contact that person and say a heartfelt thank you. To me, there's nothing more important than gratitude, and gratitude has a way of opening even more doors. And this is something that I hold very dear to my heart, because if you're grateful, more blessings will come your way. So, I have so much more coming up. I'm thinking of more online initiatives this year, but for now, let's just start by showing up a little more boldly than last year, a little bit more grateful than last year, and also taking that one step forward. So whatever you're doing right now in your business or in your career or in something that you really want to try for yourself in 2026, my advice to you is that try it, be a little bit more bold and see where that takes you. Because Rowena and I have this belief that whatever you want to do, it is possible. But you have to take that first step. You have to take that one step forward. Because it is only through that one step forward and trying out little things, little experiments, little projects, little initiatives that you'll be able to see for yourself whether it works for you. And if it doesn't work, you will have to fine-tune, you will have to adjust, and you have to tweak. But whatever it is, at least you've taken that first step. And this is what I try to showcase in all the episodes of all the women I've interviewed on Womenpreneur Asia, is that I want to show you that they too are trying. They too have taken their first step. And sometimes it is very challenging. And I'll be the first to say this. Entrepreneurship is challenging. Entrepreneurship is not a walk in the park. But entrepreneurship is also deeply fulfilling and highly satisfying when what you're doing or what you're attempting to do works. And that is where you feel that you are rewarded for the work that you put in to that entrepreneurial venture that you are in. So let's just start by showing up a little more boldly this year. I am grateful that you're a listener, and it is your support that keeps this podcast going and growing. And my mission, of course, is to uncover the stories and strategies of Asian women entrepreneurs to inspire and guide you on your own entrepreneurial journey. And of course, as always, this episode is brought to you by Redbox Studio. Welcome to Season 11. Let's grow this together.